The book of wuhidet asserts that for all person to make a shift from the path of faith to the path of truth, a person should go through a process called rebirth. What is a rebirth? Let's spend some time with Tybeb, the great wisdom.
A person can make a shift from a path of faith to a path of truth only through a rebirth,
said Tybeb, starting her explanation. What is a rebirth? You said last time you will tell me, I said.
I also wanted to discuss about it today. We mentioned earlier that a soul is one of the 91 clans of Teninet, residing in the supreme heavenly world. The soul descended from the supreme world down to the visible earthly world, joined the corporeal body of this world, and formed human beings. At this level, a human being is just of a body and a soul only. Moreover, at this level he and she can comprehend the wisdom of the earthly world, but not of the supreme heavenly world. Later on, a humankind with a distinct spirit came into being, who can go beyond and make a connection with the truth of the supreme invisible world. Afterwards, the clans of humankind in the supreme heavenly world started to get birth with spirits of their own. Because of this, we generally say that a human being is created out of a body, a soul, and a spirit. However, these three entities are unified only on some sections of the human race. Otherwise, they are found separated in most humans. To enable these three, body, soul, and spirit, unified together and form wuhidet, is called rebirth.
Does rebirth mean only the union of a body, a soul, and a spirit?
Yes. In general speaking, a rebirth means a union of the body, the soul, and the spirit. However, for the truth stating, a life-bonding practice that a person makes in the invisible world would be manifested in the course of time in this visible world to be achievable. The union between the body, the soul, and the spirit must be completed first of all. If not, then a person can walk only on the path of faith, not on truth. A person without having a union of the body, the soul, and the spirit cannot walk on the path of truth. That's why it is said that for a person who came along the path of faith makes a shift to the path of truth, he needs to pass through a rebirth.
I understand that, but how can those humans with bodies, souls, and spirit come to a rebirth?
To make my point clear, it's better to tell you a mythical story called The Story of Tella. Once there lived a woman making her livelihood in brewing Tella, the common traditional liquor. She was so famous for her brewery that anyone who stopped by the town would visit her house to taste the goodness of her Tella. Once a man came by her house. The man had no experience of drinking Tella or never heard about the making of it before. As he was having a drink in her house, he said, "Tell me how you make this liquor and I'll make it home and enjoy. I clean my pot and fume it well. First I prepare a mash combining a mix of malted grains with geisho leaves. Then I put in bread pieces made of a flour mix of various grains. Fill the pot with water, cover the mouth tight, and leave it off for some time to ferment. Finally, I open it when it is ready for a drink," she explained to him. Following her orientation, the man went home with a new pot as told. He reached home, cleaned the pot, and prepared the mash. He mixed up all the ingredients together and filled the pot with water. He covered the mouth and left it to ferment. Finally, he opened the pot and tasted the drink. However, he found nothing but a mere mixture of cheap drink that remotely tastes like Tella. The man was utterly dumbfounded by the outcome, since he did exactly as told by the woman. Hence, he went back to her. "I did as you told me, but what I got at the end was not Tella, rather an unknown drink. What did I miss?" He asked the Tella woman. "What I told is a time process occurs in a week. Accordingly, On Sunday, I clean my pot and prepare the mash. On Tuesday, I put in the bread pieces. On Thursday, I fill up the pot with water, cover the mouth, and leave it to ferment. On Saturday, I open the pot and serve the drink, she said. The man felt so ignorant that he tried to make Tella in one day. Then he decided to follow her instruction and brew his own Tella. When he reached home, he prepared the pot he bought last time, and he did every step of the process in a week's time, as she told him. However, at the end of the week, the drink turned out to be a sour liquor, not the kind of Tella he had in her house. He got confused, went back to her again, and explained what had happened. She asked him, "Did you use the same pot that you'd used the first time?" "Yes," he replied. "Then go back home and break your pot and throw it away. Instead, buy a new one and brew your Tella in it," she said. The man, as he was told, returned home and broke his pot and discarded it. With a brand new pot, he brewed Tella following all the steps. At the end of the week, he got what he wanted.
It's an interesting story, but why did she tell him to break his previous pot? And how come he got what he wanted after he broke the pot?
This is what makes it to be a rebirth. If a person cannot leave the path of faith and go back to a state of emptiness where he knew nothing, he wouldn't reach to the truth. If he fails to do so and tries to achieve the thoughts of the invisible world while still standing on his earthly thoughts, it would be like being the man who brewed Tella in an old pot.
Does it mean a person can leave his old self and attains a rebirth if he is able to dismantle all his earthly thoughts?
Yes, it is called dismantling because it happens in one day.
Can you say more on this dismantling thing?
We generally agree that a person is born in some day and dies in some day. Creation starts in one day and completes in one day. Likewise, a person dismantles his visible earthly thoughts in one day and reaches to the invisible thought in one day,
she said, and stood up from her seat. Then she walked close to the rock wall that she said it is the entrance to the cave, and she vanished into it.